What up, y'all? I'm Rajay.
And I'm Shy, and welcome to the RXS podcast.
The podcast where we provide inspiration, motivation, and information to the music community. Gang.
So, baby, what are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about endurance and perseverance through hard times, through struggle, through loss. Just having the ability to still continue on the path that God has put you on and continuing to do what God called you to do in spite of.
Wow.
Yeah, it's real. It's a good one.
That's deep.
Yeah.
Sounds like a great story.
Yeah, and we hope y'all enjoy it. Y'all go ahead and watch it. Peace. What up, everybody? I'm here with Maurice Yancey, now pastor.
Yes,
Maurice Yancey, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm delighted to be here, brother.
Yeah,
Doing
man,
well.
I appreciate you for being here, man.
Yes, sir. What a privilege and a pleasure.
Yeah, how's it been?
It's been going good, man. Life is good, no real complaints. Every day above ground, of course.
Yes, sir.
It's a blessed day.
Yes, sir.
To be alive and
Yes,
just be
sir.
doing well and having the opportunity to go after dreams and goals, man.
Yes, sir.
So I'm good.
Yes, sir. That's good stuff. I want to take us back to the beginning, to young Maurice.
Okay.
Where did you grow? Where were you born?
I was born in the city of Suffolk, Virginia.
Yes, sir.
And always been in Virginia, moved around. They call it Tidewater area, the 7 cities.
Yeah.
And so between Suffolk, Portsmouth is pretty much where I've been. Grew up in Suffolk most of my life and moved to Portsmouth proper when I was 19, 20, and that's where I've been for the last 20 years.
Okay. So what was it like growing up?
Oh man, it was cool, man. It was cool. I was definitely have always been a church baby.
Yeah.
Born and raised in the church. I love sports. It was kind of a country area, so we could go outside, man, and just get out there in the field, in the yard, and do our thing, man.
Yeah.
I was very much into sports, and so that took up a lot of my time, kept me on a straight and narrow, but music was always here. Church was always here. God has always been here, close to it, man. So it's been a cool. My childhood days have been pretty good.
Yeah. So were you always singing?
Always.
For real?
Ever since I've known anything about anything, I've been singing.
Did you what kind of music were you listening to?
Quartet music.
Come on, man.
Yes,
Off the
sir.
rip.
Off the rip, man. That has always been my thing, man. My dad was a quartet lover. And
Okay.
As far as I can go back, man, about the age of 5 where I really was conscious on what I was doing. But
Okay.
they tell me, about 2 or 3, you'll be in church with the mic in your hand trying to sing. But I do remember vividly about 5 years old, I was at one of our church conferences, man, and sung in front of this mass crowd, and it's just been on ever since.
Ooh. So back then, did you see yourself having a group?
Yes, because
Come
I've always.
on, yes, he said, I already know what's going down.
Yeah, because I was always in one. So
Okay,
my uncle started me and 3 of my cousins.
Okay.
My family, my dad's family, side of the family, everybody sung.
Okay.
And so we had about 5 groups in one family.
Family.
Yeah, different age groups, man. And it was just a joy to just, share with them guys, man. And we harmonized. We didn't have any instruments. We didn't grow up singing the music. So you had to really know your note.
Yeah.
And had to really make sure you was on it.
So who was making sure y'all was on it?
My uncle.
Ah.
Yeah. For a good while, he made sure we were straight until we got a little older, and could do it ourselves, and we knew what we were doing. But yeah, we've been singing, man, forever.
Yeah. Were the rehearsals tough?
They were, because it wasn't like a Joe Jackson type of deal. But he was pretty stern.
Yeah.
And there was no nonsense, no plan. We had to just come in. But we loved it, though, because we loved each other and we loved being around one another. So for us, man, it was just like kids who play video games with their friends. We enjoyed singing with each other.
So how old were you at this time?
At this time, I probably was like 7 or 8. Maybe.
Okay. So you're in your first group at 7 or 8?
Yeah, it was called the 3Ms: Maurice, Mario, and Marlon.
Wow.
And then we brought in another cousin. His name was AJ, and they started calling us AJ and 3M. So everybody thought I was AJ because I always
You
led the
led
group. They'd be like, "Hey AJ," I'm like, "Nah, I'm Maurice." Yeah. So that's how it was.
So did y'all ever change y'all name as y'all kept singing?
No, that was it.
Okay, so what was the next group after that?
The next group after that, my cousins tried to persuade me to do some R&B, right?
Ooh.
And they called the name Persuasion,
Okay.
but I was like, nah, that ain't my thing. They're like, come on, man, let's just. I'm like, no.
Was it the same cousins?
Same cousins.
I got
But
you.
I'm like, nah, I know I want to sing for the Lord, period. Hands down, no questions asked, nothing else to do. This is it for me,
Yeah.
And so that's what I did, man. And so pretty much after that, the next official group that I can say I was with is Maurice Yancey One Accord.
Okay.
I've helped others out, but I was never a group member.
Okay. So in between Persuasion and starting Maurice Yancey and One Accord, what was going on?
Life, man. I went on a journey.
Okay.
Because of some things that I allowed myself to get involved in.
Yes, sir.
I had to go and pay consequences for them.
Yeah.
But it was in that moment that God began to show me what I'm seeing now.
Yeah.
And I always knew that I literally knew I would be doing what I'm doing now. So it's really no surprise to me, as it may be to some. But I had to go to a place where God could really work on me and deal with me so I can handle right now.
Okay, so let's talk about it. I know what you're referring to, so we don't have to say it directly.
It's fine, though.
Say it then. Let people know what you're saying.
I went to the penitentiary.
Yes, sir.
I served 2.5 years. I got sentenced to 35 years and suspended all but 2.5 for my first offense. Never been in trouble a day in my life for anything, but caught up with the wrong crowd at the wrong time, and this what I had to face.
Yeah.
And so being in that moment where, I'm a church boy.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? I knew how to move around and maneuver in the streets, but at heart, I love the Lord.
Yeah.
Even in my mess, I was going to church.
Yeah.
I'm into things on Saturday night, but Sunday morning I'm going to church. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
sir.
Because that was just it's been in me. You
Yes,
feel what I'm
sir.
saying? And so, but I still had to go serve that time, man. My folks had got me a good lawyer. Thought I would get off because I'm like my
Yeah.
first offense, never been in trouble. But man, they to me they stuck it to me.
Yes,
you know what I'm
sir.
saying? And so but in that moment, man, the Lord dealt with me in such a way that really prepared me for my future.
Yes, sir.
I didn't have no one around to really, be a crutch.
Yeah, man.
Of course, my family was there. They visited, they wrote, things of that nature. But it was almost like I had to be in this moment with just me and God.
Yeah.
And so he made it so. And many people talk about going to places like that, and they talk about jailhouse religion, and people do those things to help them through their bid, is what people call it.
Yeah.
But no, this was really a life transformation moment for me.
Yes, sir.
Because what I've heard all of my life, what I've been preached to all of my life, now I had to try for myself.
Yes, sir.
And
yes, sir.
so many times with our kids, we raising them up and we're holding their hands, but it's not until they have a moment or encounter with God themselves that they can really see what's been said to them.
Yeah.
All along. Yeah.
So what was that process like, and what did you learn? How did your relationship with God grow in that time?
Well, I began to truly take him at his word, and reading the Bible was just like him speaking to me in an audible voice.
Yes,
even
sir.
though I couldn't necessarily physically hear him like I'm hearing you, but reading his word was just like, he's talking to me. So much so that, man, I cried.
Yeah.
When I saw what I was doing and the road that I was on and what really could have happened if I had stayed on that road,
Yeah.
I cried like, Lord, thank you for having mercy on me. Thank you for looking beyond my faults, man, and still seeing me as an opportunity, man, to fulfill purpose.
Yes.
And that encounter, man, I would never, ever forget it, because it changed my life for the better. And
Yes,
so,
sir.
but it was in that moment that I began to trust him more. I began to develop my own personal relationship with him, and how the music even had an effect on me. We were there and we could buy CDs from commissary.
Okay.
So not only could we, get food or whatever, we could buy music.
Yeah.
They had a music store and all that stuff, man. And I would be buying a Keith Wonder Boy, the Canton Spirituals, Lee Williams, Darrell McFadden. I still got them CDs in a box in my closet right now from when I was away.
Whoa.
Those CDs, man, amongst some others, truly ministered to me.
Yeah.
And they truly blessed me. One in particular, Keith Wonderboy had a song that says, somehow he takes us through it all. And I think Ray Braswell and a few others was on that track, man. And I was like, yo, this here is speaking to me.
Yes.
Because, somehow he's doing this.
Yes.
Because in my own strength, man, there's no way I could have done that.
Yeah.
I'm in a foreign land. This ain't the type of crowd I hang with. You feel what I'm saying? But I'm forced to live here for the next 2.5 years and get through it. And the Lord, He took me through by His grace. Somehow He done it for me.
Yeah.
And that led me to just wanting to sell out for Him all the way, even the more, man. And then in particular, I remember seeing Keith Wonderboy on Bobby Jones.
So you watching Bobby Jones in there too?
We watching Bobby Jones. We got our own little TV in there, And so I was fortunate to buy my own little TV and set up in my own little space. And we watching Bobby Jones, man.
So other people were watching with you?
Yeah, in the day room, they have it on Sundays.
Yeah.
But at this time, I'm actually in the penitentiary. So if you could afford it, you had your bunk with your own TV where you can watch what you want with your headphones.
Okay, yes,
so
sir.
So that's what I'm doing at this time. And I'm seeing, Keith Wonderboy go crazy on there amongst others. And I was like, and the Lord spoke to me in that moment. He said, man, if you be faithful to what I've called you to do, not perfect, but faithful. Yes, sir. There's a big difference. Yeah. If you just be faithful to it, man, and stay focused. He said, man, I'll take you places that you could only dream or imagine. And he said, it's going to be me that's going to do it. No one else will be able to get the glory out of what I'm going to do in your life. And so that's how I've made it this far. And sometimes I've gotten sidetracked pulling on people, and you're thinking because you're connected to the right people, it's going to work. But God shows me every time, no. What I got for you, no one else can get the glory.
Yeah.
He'll not necessarily destroy the relationship, but he'll allow the relationship to go in different directions. So truly, can't no one get glory.
Yeah, because sometimes when people help you, they make it known that they helped you.
Mm-hmm.
And some people can they'll almost go as far as to say they made you.
Man, what? It wouldn't have happened unless I did, or it didn't start happening until I did.
Yeah.
But I always bring them back and say, hold it.
Yeah.
This is God.
Yeah,
This
man.
is all God. He may have used you as a vehicle or an instrument for His purpose to be fulfilled, but it all goes back to Him.
Yeah. So one more question about the penitentiary. When you did get out earlier than your sentence, what was your response?
Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
Thank
so you were
Jesus.
expecting to do the full time?
No.
Okay.
They suspend all of it other than what I done. They suspend all of it. Yeah. So I knew it was going to be somewhere around like 2 years, but I went back for something, man. They threw another 6 months on it. And I said, man, so it ended up being 2.5 years.
Okay.
When it was all said and
But
done.
when it was over, you were...
Oh, man. I ain't ever got a
back.
reason to go back in there.
Yes.
You know, I'm like, I didn't leave anything
Yes.
in there. I'm good, you know.
Did you write any songs while you were in there?
Did I?
Let's go.
Yeah, did I, man? And actually, the whole journey of my initial CD, which was entitled Just the Beginning, was derived from the experience of prison to actually laying that out.
Yeah, and I remember them because I think I played on a couple of songs, but sorry.
That was one. That was one that was inspired by, that was a real life situation. You know,
really?
You go look for a job.
Coming out.
Yeah, you
I
go
got
look for a job. They won't give it to you. You go apply for a place to stay. They won't let you stay. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is a struggling man supposed to do?
Yeah.
You know, but I gave it to the Lord and
I
left it right there.
Yes.
He took the load that I could not bear. You know, and so all of those things were real life issues.
Yeah.
That I just happened to put on paper to a melody, man, and that's how we got here.
Yeah. So once you put that first album out, so hold on. Before that, did you like establish the group? Like once you got out, that's when you were like, okay, I'm gonna start the group.
Yeah, when I got out, man, I think maybe I wasn't looking necessarily for a group. I just knew I was going to be singing.
Okay.
So the group came a little later on. So what happened, I got out maybe a week or two after I was released. My father lived not too far from a record store, which maybe had been about a mile or 2 miles away.
Okay.
I walked to the record store and I found an instrumental. I think it was Come Ye Disconsolated by Ted. Yeah, and I wrote this song called Choose God's Way to that instrumental. Wow. Went to the studio, paid for some studio time, and laid that song down to their instrumental. Didn't know that I was breaking the law. Yeah. Didn't ask them to use their music.
Yeah.
But I wrote the song, recorded the song, and they gave me an instrumental version of my song, and I had the full song, and I would go to different churches, and I would sing that song.
So, did you have any pushback with being invited to certain places?
No.
That's good.
Not at all, man. Not at all. And then also to add to that, my relationship with Reggie, I knew him prior to going in.
Shout out to Reggie Halsey.
You know, because he had a group called Divine that
Lord.
I sung with a couple times. And so we knew one another. We were really cool. And I knew he played. And so I would call him sometime and let him know that I have a song. And so he would say, man, just come over to the house, man. Let's put it together. He would put music to it. Yeah. And I went from there, man. I went from there. So I would go around with a track and sing quartet music.
So then how did the group form?
It formed after people started catching on. There's something about this guy, where he come from. Yeah. Because I had been around all the time, but I was in the background. In that market, even in our community. Yeah. You know, because again, the way we grew up and the way we didn't sing at the typical quartet concerts in our community. We did more like church events. Yeah. You know, stuff like that, choir events, stuff like that. But as far as like the concerts that many of us grew up on, we weren't on those concerts.
I got you. So you were brand new to the quartet community. So
in a sense. We done a few anniversaries of this group that sung maybe 60 years in our area. We were doing those anniversaries when we were young. Okay. Young. And they was like, who is these young guys? So then when they kind of start putting two and two together, they like, oh, that's you. You know, and so, I done that, man. I would go around with my track singing. So I knew Reggie. I knew a few other guys, which were family members of his. Yeah. And they started playing. They said, man, we're going to play. And so it was called then Maurice Yancey and Friends. Okay. Because I was being invited just by Maurice Yancey, right? And so I said, well, man, they said we're gonna come rock with you, you know. So it was Maurice Yancey and Friends. We went with that for a little bit, and it was doing well. It was catching on, right?
Yeah.
And so they said, "Well, man, let's just do this for real." So I was like, I don't want to say super spiritual, but I was so heavy into my relationship with God at that point. Like, I said, "Lord, whatever I'm doing, your hands got to be in it."
Yeah.
And I wanted to reflect back to you.
Yeah.
So One Accord came from the premise of in Acts,
Yeah.
where they all came together on one accord, and the Holy Ghost fell on everyone in the room, filled the room,
Yeah.
And so that's where One Accord came from. I felt like that if we all remain together on one accord, keeping this the main thing, keeping God at the center of it, He'll bless it.
Yeah, man.
So that's how it came about.
So y'all do the first CD. How long were y'all together as One Accord before y'all put the album out?
Oh, we was working the whole time.
Yeah.
Before One Accord really hit, we was working on, and the interesting thing about it is guys that were helping were a part of other groups.
Yeah.
So, you had an established group, which are friends of mine. Pastor Mills is my guy.
Yeah.
And so Reggie was a part of the Virginia Airs.
Yeah.
Ron was coming around that time because I actually started recording first at Ron's studio in his kitchen.
Yeah. Shout out Ron.
Yeah, and so he was with the Brothers in Christ.
Yes, sir.
And so those guys were kind of like, back and forth, kind of helping, but I was still stuck on the main thing, what I was doing here.
Yeah.
And so when that CD was actually released, you see on the cover is just me, Ron, this guy named James McMichael, Ray, and Ryo, which the only ones that sung on that cover was really me and Ron and James. The other two played guitar.
Yeah.
And so it was very interesting, man.
Yeah.
It was very interesting, but it's the journey.
Yeah. So after that album comes out, are y'all getting more recognition from different places?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That record there, once we released that and shown people that you were serious about what you're doing, the songs had meaning. They touched people because they came from a real place.
Yes, sir.
I really sung out of pain and sung out of experience of what it really was. So it wasn't just like you write me a song and I sing it because it sounds good, but it's conveyed different when you actually live it.
Yeah, man.
Even if it don't sound the best, it's still just received different because of where it come from. And that's what that song really done for me.
Yeah.
It allowed people to just see this guy, has been through something.
Yes, sir.
It comes through the music.
Yes, sir.
And so we went to the GMWA 2009. I'll never forget it. The group was formed in 2008. We went to the GMWA in 2009, and they used to call it the Quartet Quest.
Okay.
And so they would have groups to come in and sing and do that thing, and then they'll vote who's number one.
Yeah.
And the number one winner gets to go to sing on the main night.
Yeah.
Which was that Thursday night or something like that.
Yeah.
And so our first time around going, we won. And so that kind of like started opening the door. Well, who was this young group? Where they come from?
Yes.
And so the guys kind of saw how we were moving and where we were going. And so, everybody started taking it a lot more serious, and we just kept it going.
What was the next release after that first album?
The next release was Not Your Ordinary, which is where Sorry was redone.
Okay.
Yeah, with you. We had done a live recording with Humility Music Group, which I was signed to them for a bit. That's the same label that the Gospel Legends and Blessed by Four were on, and we all did a live recording in Alabama.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was never released. And so we ended up just doing the studio project.
Yeah.
And to those same songs, and that was the next one that was released.
Is that what Promise I Tell It was on?
Mm-mm.
What was on that one?
Those were some of the same songs that was on just the beginning. So
okay, I got you. I follow you.
Yeah.
So, because y'all were going to do a live version of them in Alabama.
There you go.
Did that go well, or it was just?
It was good. It was actually it was great. And to this day, some of the producers that were on it was like, what happened? We don't know why we didn't move forward with it. But due to whatever, we didn't. And
was that discouraging to you, or you were cool?
I was cool because, again, God already told me. I'm holding on to that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So I preached a sermon a couple of weeks ago to my church, and one of the nuggets that stuck out was even though you go through things, you can't hold on to what you feel. You got to, don't give in to what you feel, but hold on to what you know.
Ooh, don't give in to what you feel. Hold on to what you know.
There you go.
Yes, sir.
You're going to always feel different things, and feelings will have you up, they'll have you down, have you sad, have you happy.
But what you know is what you know.
What you know is what you know. Yeah. So even though it made me feel a certain type of way, I knew what I knew.
Yes,
you
sir.
know, and I stayed true to it.
Yes, sir. So then after that release, what was next?
The next one was Sentiments of My Heart, which came out in 2018.
Okay.
And that's the one that had Promise I Tell It on.
Okay. And how did that, because that song go crazy. Where did that song come from?
Promise I Tell It?
Yeah.
We was doing something, we made a Christmas CD.
Yeah.
And we had a few songs on it, but Promise I Tell It was on it.
Because Promise I Tell It is Go Tell It on the Mountain, right?
It's Go Tell It on the Mountain, man. So what happened? That's what we did. It was like Go Tell It on the Mountain, and like I said, a few other popular Christmas carols that was out.
Yeah.
And we done that, but we did it at a concert during the Christmas holiday time.
Yeah.
And they like, okay.
So who put the vamp on there? Whose idea was it?
I can't necessarily remember. I got to give everybody credit because at that time, we all pretty much worked together. We vibe and we kind of just went off of one another.
Yeah.
In that moment, it was really Reggie and I, and More Than Most, and then Steve, and around that time.
Yeah.
Ron was still on board too at that time. And so we just kind of vibed off each other, and the song just kept progressing as we went on. We just keep adding stuff and seeing what worked and what don't work, and that's how you got it. And so people started asking, "Hey, yo, what's that song y'all be singing? Go Tell It." We say, "Promise I Tell It."
Yeah.
And who would have known a Christmas carol would have became, one of our
it's like
songs.
Yes, it's like. Y'all can't go nowhere without saying.
No.
To the point now, you would just sing the vamp. You
That's
just
it.
skip the whole song.
That's it. Because that's the part they love. The shoo-doo-doo. You know what I mean? And they want you to holler one time and drive it on out.
Yeah.
But man. So that really became a big deal for us. And so from that point, we decided to record another album, and that was the featured pretty much song on that.
So the next thing I want to talk about is the group members changing. What was that process like?
Okay, I've always had a group of guys that were interchangeable, if you will.
Okay. Yes, sir.
So the face of NY1A didn't change too much, because even though some would take a break, some had other things going on, for the most part, you still had certain pieces.
So that's a good point, Maurice, because there's a difference in personnel changes because of issues, and personnel changes because, like, we all rock with Maurice. When we can be there, we there. When we can't, we ain't.
Right.
And we all boys.
Right.
And that's the kind of vibe I get from what you're saying.
And that's what it's always been, because I'm a no-nonsense individual, not into toxic situations. I cut that off at the head. And initially, and even still now, but it wasn't just ran as a group, it was ran as a ministry.
Yes, sir.
So
yes, sir.
So it wasn't just coming together because we can sing, we gonna sing, but we really treated it as we were working for the Lord, and it was ministry driven.
Yes.
You feel what I'm saying? And so, like any group though, of course you'll have, your squabbles or whatever. Ain't nobody perfect.
Right.
But, it's not to a point where I can call any one of them today. If I need
that's
them,
good.
they'll be there. Yeah.
So it's a certain song that I really like. I think it's called "Keep My Mind."
Yeah.
Was that on the third album?
That's on the third album.
What's the name of the third album?
Sentiments of My Heart.
Right. So where did that song come from, man?
Originally, it came from Stephen Griffin. The melody.
Shout out.
Yeah,
Steve I love
Griffin.
that dude, man.
I remember like it was yesterday. We was at the park at a concert out at the park. We wasn't on the concert, but we was there. And he came to me. He said, "Man, I got this tune in my head. It won't go nowhere. It just, he started humming it. And he just saying, keep my mind." And so when I'm really focused on something, I can really sit down and put it together.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened. He gave me the melody of it. And keep my mind was just the thing that kept,
Yeah.
And so as we were riding one day, me and him was riding one day. Matter of fact, I think we were going to a concert in Carolina. We had to sing on.
Yeah.
And I wrote that song right there in the car. The rest of the words to it.
Like
yeah.
the indie traveling
Yes, sir.
time.
Yes,
Yo, that
sir.
song, it reminds me of like a young Harvey.
Yeah.
That's the vibe it gives me.
Got you.
Yeah. Yo, so, and the thing about that song that I like is the fact that whether you meant for it to be or not, mental health is so important.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when I heard, like, when the first time I heard that song, that's what came to me. Like,
Wow.
life is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, things are happening every day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one thing to tell people to pray about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's another thing to be in a mental place that's stable enough to handle what life is bringing to you.
Right.
So, like, that song hit.
Yeah, man.
Did it occur to you in that way? Like a mental health type of thing?
Not really. For me, it was more or less like life is becoming too much.
Yeah.
And God, if you don't keep my mind, I may lose it.
Yeah.
Because many of us can be in a sound mind, but life can lead you to a place where you snap.
Yeah, facts.
And not necessarily be just dealing with mental issues. You could be sane as you want to be, but the wrong situation can make you just lose it. And so you're like,
man.
Lord, you got to keep me. And
Yes,
it reminds me of the scripture where he says in Isaiah that he'll keep you in perfect peace if you keep your mind stayed on him. So what that says is any of us are a split second from losing it if you don't have him as the focus point.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Was there any other song from that album, that particular album, that stood out to you?
Of course, Help was another one that was good. Overwhelming was good. Cash Your Cares is good.
Yeah.
I just recently just listened to that album maybe last week.
Okay.
Because I really don't like to listen to myself like talking about it.
Yeah.
So, after we put it out and it was out and, I really haven't paid much attention to it since. But here recently, man, I kind of put it on, took a ride. I'm just like, wow, this is really...
It's really good.
It's good, yeah. And so, and all the songs, man, have a message. And so I strive to let that be important, not to get so caught up in the music, but the message.
Yes, sir.
Because as singers, man, that's the most important piece of the project is the message. You can have great music, but if you don't have a message, what do you have?
Yeah, it's just good music and good singing.
Yeah.
And crazy thing is, I was just talking to Ant about that. Like, you can have a song with great singing and great production, but the song is the thing that changes lives.
Yes, sir.
So the fact that you're saying that is funny. The next thing I'm thinking about is, who's on the cover of that album?
It's myself, my cousin Brandon.
Shout out Brandon,
Reggie.
Yeah.
Shy.
Yeah.
And Josh.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who produced that album?
Actually, we all had a hand in it.
Yeah.
We all kind of worked together on that, but I would give Ant a lot of credit for pretty much spearheading it and bringing it all together.
Yes.
Because how it worked, we were a great unit, man. Ant, myself, Steve, and Reggie, all have.
Y'all are all it's like a production team almost.
That's what
and
it was.
Ant just was kind of the one that was driving it.
That
Yeah.
brought it all together.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that guy, man, because and the Lord has truly blessed him even more so in this season. But he, as you just said, Steve style, Reggie style put together, my thoughts, ideas.
Yeah.
He brought it all together, man, and together it's become something great.
He took them all away. Oh, he took my burdens away. Felt sad all away. Oh, all away. Oh, la, 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 la. He took my burdens. 1 minute they're there, the next day they're gone. All the way, all the way. He took my burdens away.
How did you meet Anthony? Anthony Roberts, y'all. If y'all haven't seen it, y'all go check out his episode. But yeah,
my guy, he done a great job too.
Yeah.
I knew him back in the day. His father and I were pretty close.
Yeah.
And I knew Ant from playing back in the day, man. We used to play for the Harmoniers of Ivor.
Okay.
So I used to remember him, man, on the drums doing his thing. And, we never really became anything other than just cordial individuals meeting one another, going past each other. But I think later on, after that first project, I want to say, the first project he heard, he said, he asked his father, man, like, who these cats? Where they come from?
Yeah.
He said, man, that's such as, you don't know them, blah, blah, blah. He said, well, I really don't remember, like that, because we really didn't have a whole lot of contact with each other back then. But I think when his father transitioned and he called us to come and be a part of a concert he was doing, that brought it together.
Yeah.
I remember. And matter of fact, he played for me that night.
Yeah.
At a concert. It was right here in Rocky Mount, actually.
Yeah.
And we came. I said, sure, man, we'll be there. We'll do it. And he said, man, bro, you ever need me, man, just give me a holler. And so we stayed in touch, and it just have grown into this amazing friendship and brother.
Yeah, and he said something on his episode that I thought was important. He's like, you're almost like his spiritual counsel in a way. Have you found yourself in a position where pastoralship has bled over into the quartet thing? As far as like relationships you have with your homies?
Yeah, in a great sense, I believe it, because you only can be true to who you are in that sense, and it's not just a hat you wear, but it is an identity.
Yes, sir.
You feel what I'm saying? And so I think once you develop a relationship with a person and they see you in that capacity, in certain times, they'll lean back to it. Well, man, I got somebody, a trusted person I can talk to who's going to give it to me.
Yeah.
And so that's what it has become. He gets a joy out of saying that, this is my brother. He ain't gonna, whatever. He knows he can be himself around me.
Yeah.
He don't have to put on as you may do in front of others, but he can really be who he is. There's no judgment between none of each other, but there's a mutual respect.
Yes, sir.
And that he respects the call on my life, man, and vice versa. And so, it's just easy to be who he need me to be in that moment.
Yeah, that's
for
beautiful,
him.
man.
Yeah.
The next thing I wanted to ask you is, when did the pastor arrive?
I like to say it's laid dormant forever.
Always there?
Always there. My father, and shout out to my dad.
Yeah.
And my mom, but my dad, I believe a man has a great effect on his children. Fathers can, the Bible says you can speak those things that are not as though they were, and they will come to pass. My father, all of my life, have always told me who I am today. Wow. All of my life. Wow. You're going to preach. You're going to sing. Wow. You're this. You're that. All of that. So as a young kid, just hearing this, it's always been in the back of my mind. So even when I would go and do things I had no business, I would come back to what I knew because it's what I've always heard. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so preaching, I knew I was going to eventually do it. You know, I would be doing it around the house and spoke at a few youth day events. But I knew one day it would happen. But it was in that dark moment, that incarcerated moment, in my prison moment, that it all came back to me.
Yes, sir.
And I saw it. I saw what he was saying back then, you know, beginning to come to the forefront.
And how did it come to fruition?
It came because, and even with starting a ministry, right? I was with my father at the church he had pastored for 16 years. I was licensed there, ordained there. I'm not a fly-by-night preacher that was singing quartet and then said, you know, I'm going to go start a church and start preaching.
Yeah.
As some would think. But I really went about it the right way. You know, I come from something. I was there with him, supporting him in ministry, helping him in ministry, all the way up to the point to becoming his assistant pastor.
Wow, okay.
At the church. You know, started as a youth pastor there. And, you know, God was speaking to me, man, you know, about starting a ministry.
Yes, sir.
But I'm already doing NY1A. So I'm like, man, I ain't, no. You know, he like, man, no, it's on you. You know, you need to do this. Even to the point where I remember sitting in one of my friends' church, went to go visit him one Sunday.
Yeah.
September the 30th, 2018. I was sitting in his church, and his message spoke to me with volumes to the point where that's where the name of my church came from. Wow. Because the sermon he was preaching, God spoke to me in that moment and said, this is the name of the church. That was in 2000.
So you went from, man, this pastor thing, I don't know. Then you go in there and then you give you the name of the church.
Come and give me the name. Because you know, we're traveling. So I'm like, well, Lord, how do I even have the time, you know, to do this and be committed? Because I don't want to be one of them guys that are all over the place. I want to be committed to where I'm supposed to be. And there is a balance, not saying that you can't, because by the grace of God, I'm able to do it now. But, you know, I want to be all in. Yeah. And I'm like, no, this just ain't the right time. So the pandemic happened. So 2018, he gave me the name of the church. He've already shown me that, look, this is what you're supposed to be doing. But my father and I had a plan. The initial plan was to succeed him at the church where I was assistant pastor at. Yeah. You know, because he's like, I'm getting ready to retire, man. I'm going to shift things over, and you're going to be here, right? And so, but I still got this in the back of my mind that I'm supposed to start a church.
Oh, yes, sir.
But I'm also trying to bring to pass what him and I talked about.
So you ain't quite just said, well, Dad, I think I was...
Yeah, so, you know, he's like, man, well, you know, you could do this here, because starting a ministry is certainly not anything I would suggest or recommend to anybody who have not heard from God for real. Yeah. Because it's not a game. Yeah. It's not something just to do, you know, it's serious business, man. And so I'm like, I don't know. And so him knowing that, he's like, man, why would you do that when, you know, we got this right here, you know? And 2 years later, the pandemic started. And I'm still helping and assisting and doing, and to a point where God said, man, look, the time is now. I'm like, in a pandemic? People are closing their doors. Churches are shutting down. What you mean? Start a church. With what? So now, you know, bookings for concerts are not happening. You know, I'm just kind of like, what's your excuse now? Because I made that as an excuse for so long. Well, I can't do. I'm doing. He said, so what's your excuse now? Woo! So it put me in a position where I had to really sit and submit and listen. And when I said yes, it's one of the best decisions, man. Yes, sir. that I could have ever made. Not saying that everything is all well all the time, but I know I'm in the place I'm supposed to be.
Yes, sir.
You know, and so I went to my father, had a heart-to-heart, and said, man, I know what we wanted. I know what we had planned, but this is what the Lord said. And I don't even think in that moment it was clear to him what I was saying.
Ooh.
Like, he heard me.
Yeah.
And he felt me because I'm his son, but he's like, oh, okay.
Okay.
But the Lord have shown, and he come back to me and said, now, son, that had to be the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Because what you're doing, I'm just so proud of.
Yeah, that's a good thing as a son to hear from a father.
Oh, man. Yes, it is. I'm telling you, fathers make their children.
Yeah.
People don't believe that, man, but fathers are important.
Yes.
Mothers are nurturers, man, but fathers, man, can lead them to where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Think about it in this sense. Jesus was who he was because of God the Father.
Yeah, man.
He gave him his assignment. Yeah. So it goes back to what I said about my dad. You're going to preach and you're going to sing.
Yeah.
That's my assignment. You feel what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
God sent Jesus on an assignment. You're going to save the world.
Yeah.
You're going to have to do this.
Yeah.
And Jesus got upset sometime because he's like, man, I don't know. One day he said, Lord, not my will, but thy will. If it be thy will, Lord, you take this cup from me because it's too much. I don't want to do this. But then he said, not my will, thy will be done. Yeah. So my father said, son, you're going to do this because I believe the Lord was using him in that moment to call me into what I'm doing. Not so much it was, I want you to go play football. But no, he pointed me into purpose.
Ooh,
because we don't know.
We have no clue.
Yeah, we really don't know.
We don't know.
You know what I mean? But God used a man to direct me into where I am now. So getting back to what I was saying, September 15th, 2020, I actually launched the ministry.
Yeah.
Virtually, as the world was in the cyber sanctuary, as we call it now. The virtual, all the doors were closed. Everybody was at home. And God said, this is the time to start it now. And so that's what happened, man.
Woo! So you started church in the middle of a pandemic.
Yes,
no
sir.
building, no nothing.
No building, no members.
Woo!
No nothing, just a word from the Lord.
Wow. So were you getting up there like once a week, or how were you doing
Yeah,
it?
once a week. So I started on a Tuesday night at 7 p.m. And I was using one of my friends' banquet hall. So we would go there and pre-record on Monday night, and then on Tuesday we would air it.
Yeah.
And so that went on up until April 4th. Well, fast forward. Well, back up. Let me rewind. We was doing it every Tuesday night. And when we started to get a little comfortable, I started inviting other guests to come in and be a part of it. To the banquet hall.
Okay.
And it was prophesied to me in one of those services. The guy was using this young man who's now a pastor now himself.
Yeah.
But he was using him in a way and spoke to me and said, you know what, God wants you to have your own. He wants you to have your own. He said within the next 90 days, God is going to give you some keys. It won't be a stress. It won't be a strain. And you're going to have your own place where you can go and worship and build and grow, right? So I took him at his word.
Yeah.
I really believe that God was speaking to him. And matter of fact, this was in 2021, I think in January. And so he said 90 days, right? I think it happened within 17.
Woo!
So what I did with that word, I went out and started to seek. Many of us don't get what have been spoken, not because the word was wrong, but we don't believe it. So I'm like, well, if he says that this is going to happen within 90 days, I need to start looking.
Yeah.
Because it ain't just going to come to me.
Yeah.
Let me go search. Let me seek. Let me find out what's going on. So I would go out there, look at vacant buildings and write it down, write the number down, call. And I happened to be on the phone with one of my cousins at the time, and I told him what I was doing. He said, man, I know a pastor who just bought another building and needs somebody to come occupy the building he's in.
Yo, that's crazy.
Brother, I met with the pastor, told him what I had going on, and he put the keys in my hand without me even giving him $1. Yes.
What?
But listen, when he told me how much the building was a month to rent, I was like, I don't Oh. I said, yeah, that's quite a bit. But I'm going to believe God.
Yeah.
No members, no tithers.
Yeah.
But I'm going to believe God.
Yeah.
The word was spoken. I'm going to believe God.
Yeah.
And he probably looking at, man, you think you're going to be able to handle this every month?
Yeah.
With nobody, And I said, yeah, I'm going to believe God. And so I went in there, my wife, my mom, family came in, and it was such a blessing that we didn't have to go into a building where you literally had to build everything from the ground up. Everything was already put in place. You just had to make it yours.
Yeah.
So for this kind of example, it was just like you buying a home that's already been built.
Yeah.
Everything is in place, but you got to make it your home.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did. We got in there and got to painting and decorating and doing things to make it Place of Redemption Church.
Yeah.
But we went in on April the 4th, which was Resurrection Sunday that particular year.
Yeah.
And held our first Sunday service. And we've been going ever since. Wow. Yeah. And that day, my wife, my kids, my mom, and another family joined that particular day.
Yeah.
And God have just been growing it, man.
So once you start pastoring, how are you balancing that with the group?
Pastoring is priority. I look at it like this. NY1A this year is 15 years old.
Okay.
Place of Redemption in September will be 3 years as a founder, right? So I look at it like having a 15-year-old and a 3-year-old. The 15-year-old going to always need your guidance, going to always need your love, and always need the same support. But this 3-year-old needs me in a way that the 15-year-old don't.
Yes.
So my priority is to...
Yeah, man, that's good, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, both of them are just as important. Yeah. Both of them have their place. But there's a season where I have to give this 3-year-old some attention that the 15-year-old have gotten.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? And they're doing okay.
Mm-hmm.
Not that they have arrived and they don't need you, but they're okay.
Yes. So you just schedule like the concerts according to making sure
the 3-year-old is fine. I got to be there for that.
Yes, sir.
Because it's growing, and at this age, it needs you like never before.
Yes,
because these are fundamental and the foundation.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
man.
And so you have to be there to make sure it grows the right way as God will lead it, and then ultimately, Jamal, this is my assignment. Yeah. Singing was my gift, but preaching is my call, and that's what I understand. And
because there's a difference.
There's a big difference, and people have seen me for the singer for so long. It's like the call to preach or pastor is like, well, we're still trying to get used to that because we don't really know, or was this just something you done because of the time frame?
Yeah.
Or, it could be common to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But no, this has always been the call. I was just loving the gift. And enjoying that. But no, this is where I'm supposed to be, man. So I'm all in.
Yes, sir.
All in, yeah.
Does it bother you with people who can only see you as a quartet lead singer?
It could if that was my focus.
Yes,
it's more
sir.
or less like this. My father, and I'm not talking about my natural father, but God said this is who I am. Yes, sir. And so do I listen to the Lord or do I listen to people? You know what I'm saying? I tell my children, you can't stop people from saying what they want to say about you, but you're responsible for being who you are, who you're supposed to be.
Ooh,
you know what I'm saying? And so I can't necessarily alter people's opinion or view because that's what they've known, that's what they've seen. But this is who it is.
Yeah.
And in due time, God will continue to show.
Yeah.
And they're catching on. But it's just different, when I've seen you for the last 15 years doing
singing
this.
with the group, now you pastoring.
And so it's like, well, man, even if I sense that you would be doing this, they're still trying to see, is this really real?
Yeah.
Or was this something he was just doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's real. Because when I saw you start pastoring, I didn't question it in a weird way.
Right.
but it was interesting to see.
Yeah, right.
It's like, yo, Maurice is a pastor now. Yo, what?
Right.
Yeah. But to hear your story and to know it's a part of your fabric and has been all along is dope to hear, man.
Bless you, man.
Because like, there's different dimensions to us as people.
Absolutely.
And like you said, sometimes people can get so used to who you were in one season that they have a hard time in the next.
Yes.
But I believe just like in the season of you touching lives with the group, there's another tribe that God wants to use you to speak to, and it won't necessarily connect in the same way as singing.
Absolutely.
Because some people need the word of God from a pastor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And the fact that you would say yes to that is dope. Because at this point, you're saying yes to being a pastor when the group is really starting to really get hot for real.
Yeah. I agree.
It's like as soon as y'all about to like, all right, they out here. And then you're like, no, I'm about to pastor.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, what is going on? But I feel that I thank God, he has a plan for everything.
Yes, sir.
And he'll use all of our gifts, and not just confine us to one. He'll make room for all of it. Like all of who he made us to be, we'll be able to use. But there's just seasons and times to use them.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And when you prioritize, I think that I actually believe that the group probably could be further along if I had submitted and said yes sooner.
Ooh.
Because sometimes it's not until we're doing what we're supposed to do that he will allow us to do what we want to do. So I think I wanted to sing. You feel what I'm saying?
And it brings me back to what you said a minute ago. You said when you were talking about you and your dad, you were saying like, me and my dad talk and we had a plan. And it's like God's plan trumped it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So to hear you say like, I probably should have did it sooner. So like, were you in a situation where you were running for a minute?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Why were you running?
Because I was enjoying this. And the responsibility of being a pastor was just so much different than just singing.
Because you've seen it, so you know what it comes with.
I'm right there with it, watching it.
So you're like, I ain't trying to do that.
No, sir. No, not at all. Not at all. And then especially, we're talking about from the ground up.
Yeah.
Man, that takes a different person.
Yeah.
You know, it to go and manage what have already been established is one thing, because sometimes that comes with a budget.
Yeah.
At that point, you're kind of dealing with personalities and trying to get people to see your vision, support your vision, and help build what you're putting out there.
Yeah, what's next for the ministry?
But to start something with no budget, no team, you know what I'm saying? It's just you and the word.
Yeah.
That's different, man.
Yeah.
That's different. You know, because everybody won't necessarily, you don't know who's going to buy into what you're doing and support it. You know, when you go to a church that's already established, people are already there. It's your job to kind of keep them.
Yeah.
But that you already have what you need to work.
Yeah.
But man, we're talking about going to build a house with no tools.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, other than, you know, what the Lord has given you, which is the most important.
Yeah. But from a practical standpoint, it's different. I understand that completely.
Yeah.
What do you think, was there anything you learned while incarcerated that helped you in the building of the ministry?
Staying at God's feet. Because I needed God to get through that moment. I couldn't do it in myself. Yeah, I mean, it won't a fear of people, or fear of the environment. It's just, it was being in a foreign land. I've never experienced anything like that before. And so when you're in a place that you've never experienced, dealing with people on a 24-hour basis, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and you're having to learn how to live and deal with those type of individuals, you need something greater than you to do that.
Yeah.
Because if not, especially to stay on the straight and narrow and not conform or not become, you need something greater than you to do that.
Yes.
Because if not, I could have conformed easily.
Yes.
And became something easily.
Yeah.
But no, I stood on what I know, and I trusted God through the moment. And so the same God that brought me through that, which is something I never experienced, never thought I would be in, never thought I would have to go through, holding on to him brought me out of that. So holding on to him in this is going to help me through this.
Yeah, man, because this is a foreign land, but it ain't that one.
It ain't that one.
So if you
It
brought
ain't
me
that
through
one.
this,
You-
I know you can bring me
yeah.
through this.
And then ultimately it's his work.
Yes.
I'm just who he chose to use for this work at this time.
Yeah,
but this
man.
is yours.
Yeah.
It don't belong to me.
Woo.
You know, so Lord, you got to show me how to do this. You
Yes,
gotta
sir.
you gotta be who you are. I always
Yes,
say all
sir.
the time, be the God that I know you to be.
Woo-wee.
Yeah, man.
That's good stuff, man. So listen, after you start the church, the group is still going. Then y'all put out another single, right? That
Yep.
wasn't too far back. What was the name of that song? It's like an
I-
up-tempo.
I put out one called No Longer Afraid.
Yeah.
I did one called No Longer Afraid.
Yeah.
And that did okay. It was cool. I don't think we really put no pressure
Yeah.
behind it. It just was a good song.
Yeah.
And it was just a time, you know. In fact, if we can be honest, my guys were like, man, I wouldn't do it. You know, we shouldn't. And I was like, man, I'm not listening to what y'all talking about. It's going out, you know what I mean? You know, and we did it, and it was what it was. After that, we released another one back in 2021, which was almost a year after the church had started. Yeah. Past a year the church had started, and it's called In the House.
Yeah.
And that has done really, really
That
well
song
for
goes
us.
crazy.
Yeah, that's done really well for us, man. Shout out to Roy Lasson, man, and he wrote that, and he called me one day and said, man, I think I got a song that'll fit you.
Yeah.
You know, and I said, man, sure, let me hear, let's do it. When I heard it, I instantly fell in love with it, and we just made it NY1A, and
Yeah,
it
y'all
became-
did. Y'all put that thing on it, yeah.
So it became what it is, and that has been a great tune for us, man. And so that's going pretty good.
Yeah. So after releasing that song, did the group start doing more?
Absolutely. Well, actually, we were, no, this is 2021. So that song was released. So in between 2018, 2016, 17, actually, I met Bishop Marvin Winans.
Okay.
And we ended up doing his convocation.
Mm-hmm.
The story is too long to tell how we met and how we got led up to all of that.
Yeah.
But God showed, and I found favor with him.
Yeah.
And so we did his convocation in 2017. That kind of pushed some things and gave us some good momentum.
Yeah.
Because we were always a group, man, that would go somewhere, do extremely well, you get a good buzz, and then you just fade off. Yeah. That's kind of been our journey.
Yeah.
So you kind of always stayed in the know of things, and in people knew who you were, but just the consistency of staying out here
yes, sir.
was the whole thing.
Yes, sir.
And so we'll get a good buzz and we'll get to moving a little bit, and then for whatever reason, you know, we'll start sliding back down. And
I got a question. Do you think that had anything to do with the fact that you should have been pastoring?
It really could. It really could. Because truthfully, when I met with Bishop Winans back in 2016 or 17 it was, and I flew to Detroit, and I sat with him in his office because, check this out, he ended up managing my group for a year.
Wow.
Yeah, people don't know that, but he managed my group for a whole year.
Yeah, that's sweet.
And so when I went to meet with him and sat with him to see if it was even something that we were going to do, I began to share with him my testimony and my story. And we saw then that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. But we still kept going with the singing piece, man. And so, again, that kind of gave us some momentum. and we did this convocation, which was an international conference, convocation or whatever, man. So
and I remember seeing that on Facebook.
Yeah,
too.
that was truly
like he loved the group though.
Man, he do.
It's crazy how much he love y'all.
He do, man. And so that kind of led into the Promise I Tell It movement. We started doing that record in 2000 and we had already done the record, but we had redone it in 2018. And so that kind of started moving us. And again, we just started getting more notoriety, man, and just kind of moving. And then we moved a little bit, quite a bit from 2018, 2020. We felt ourselves moving more.
Yeah.
It was becoming better. And then the pandemic came and it was just like, bam.
So then you start the church.
And we started the church. Well, actually, the accident happened with the group in 2019.
We got to talk about that, man.
Yeah, that happened, which kind of, it just put like a...
So for those who don't know, if you don't mind, tell the story about that for people who don't know.
Okay, 2019, October to be exact. We were in New York. I want to say Middyville, New York, singing. And so we went up, was not about 6 hours from the house. So, we could make church because them guys, most of them play on Sundays.
Yeah.
So we don't have to miss Sunday. We're not going to miss Sunday.
Yeah.
So we went up and they were turning back around to come home. I missed the van, didn't make the van because I had to preach in Delaware that Sunday. So I followed them, me and my wife, we followed them to New York. We did the concert. They got in the van to come back home. My wife and I drove to Delaware for me to preach that morning. So my understanding, they made it all the way back home. They were like 7 minutes away from where we met to park our cars. And they got into the accident. And so I woke up. Actually, I was knocked out asleep. Someone called my wife and said, I need to talk, to Yancey or whatever, man. The boy's been in a bad accident. Yeah. And I'm like, wow, woke up like, what's going on? Calling back to find out what's going on. I hear all of them was pretty much in the hospital, but everybody was okay other than Reggie. And so I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like, Lord, what is going on? I'm praying like, Lord, you got to be God in this moment. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm having to preach that morning with this on my mind. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, man, oh my God. So, I did. I went in and preached the service, did the service, and immediately after the service was over, my wife and I, we drove back down the way, man, and went, and he was the one that was severely hurt. Everybody else had made it through with little scratches or whatever, but it put him in the position that he's in now, and so that put a big damper on the momentum that we had and what we were doing, because it's like, man, wow, this is crazy, But I was grateful that God spared his life. I was truly grateful, man, because Reggie was like my right-hand man.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And we still have the greatest relationship.
Yeah.
Many would think, like what's going on, but that's still my guy.
Yeah.
And likewise for me towards him, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, man, for that to happen, it was like, Lord, what are you doing?
Yeah. Did it make you question if you wanted to keep singing? What up, y'all? I'm Rajay, and I'm interrupting the pod to present an opportunity for y'all to support the brand and the fam. So do this for me. Head over to rajxshaw.com, click the merchandise tab, and grab a hoodie, t-shirt, or hat. And remember this thing. No matter what people say or think, live your life. Now back to the episode.
No, I can't say that it did. Because even though that took place, it's like a part of me losing him, being on the road, I should say, was missing, right? And that had that was a weight.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I knew that, the assignment for the ministry had to go on. And I don't want to sound insensitive in this moment, so I'm trying to word my words correctly.
Absolutely.
On that prison bunk, I didn't see any of those guys who were with me or who's currently with me when I was on that bunk. Yeah. So the promise was given to my obedience to doing his will, not according to who was going to be there.
So easily, to your point, in a tragic situation like that, that is easily a reason to say, hey, man, let's hold up on the group.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're saying is, God has called me to do a certain thing, even amongst calamity, even amongst tragedy. Mm-hmm. And that's deep, because some people go through things that make them stop. Like, they like, I ain't with that.
Right.
I mean, I was cool,
Right.
but my boy can't walk. I don't know if I'm with this no more. And for you to have the strength to continue, man.
Right.
That's
and you look at it like this, and again, it weighed on all of us because, Reggie and I are, and especially in that moment, were extremely close. We didn't do pretty much a whole lot without one another.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? He's the guy I really leaned on. So of course it was like, man, wow. How can I?
Yeah.
But again, it's going back to my desert moment when I received the word, and it's like, what if the Israelites would have said, well, the children of Israel said, well, we're not going to cross over because Moses ain't going. Moses was their shepherd, their leader, and it's not so much that the positions are different in this aspect of it.
But crazy enough. Sorta, but not really.
Yeah.
Because the truth of the matter is, you are the leader,
Right.
in the sense of the songs.
Right.
But Reggie is kinda one accord.
Yeah.
Like essentially, he is one accord.
Yeah. He initially, man, he was that guy. Arranged all the backgrounds, you know what I'm saying? I could depend on him. I can call him at 1:00 in the morning and say, hey, man, I got a song. Let's do this, man. Meet me in the morning.
Yeah.
He was just that guy. So you're right, in an aspect of the role he played.
Yes.
And in the group, it's like, man, what do you do? Yes. And it was like, man, things are going to be different because this is the guy that I always lean on. It's really going to be different.
Yeah.
But in any event, it is one of those things again, like, do the group not cross over the Red Sea? Yeah. And I don't even think he would want that.
Yes.
You feel what I'm saying? So you had to push through. It was a hard push, but you had to push through. And and that's what we've been able to do, and God has blessed it so far.
Yeah. Talking about that makes me think about the other tragedy.
Yeah, I was getting ready to mention that too.
Go ahead.
And what I say to that is just like, so we went through that in 2019 when we had so much momentum going, and so we were moving in a great way, and then I lose one of my key components. Yeah. Right. And so it's like, wow, what do you do now? Yes. So now you got to get back to a place of rebuilding. Yes, sir. Rebuilding it back up. You finally get to a place where you can still soar, still manage. It works. It fits. It's solid. Yeah. And now you lose another piece who is just as important. Yes. Javon Johnson, in a tragic accident a few weeks ago, man, and he did not make it. And initially, when I got the call that he was in the accident, my prayer was, don't let it be another situation like 2019. Never in my mind that I think he won't go make it. Never did that cross my mind that he wasn't going to make it. I was just praying that it wouldn't position him in a place where he wasn't able to use his limbs, man, and it put him in an uncompromising position because we already, are dealing with our brother, but he's doing an exceptional job.
I'm so proud of him.
Reggie,
He It's crazy.
Reggie's doing an exceptional
fighter,
job,
man.
He called himself be a bull.
Yeah.
And he's being that, man. To see his tenacity, man.
It's crazy.
It's just like
he's still going hard.
He's still going hard, man. And still making a way to do what he loves to do.
Yes, man. It's
You
crazy.
know, and so
I saw that McCormick thing. I was going crazy.
Yeah, he's a brilliant guy, man.
Yeah.
And but my prayer was, Lord, don't let it be that.
Yeah.
And it ended up being something totally different.
Woo.
And so
Yeah.
that put us in another space, man. And so it's still like, now what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
And now you're back having to rebuild again.
Yeah.
And try it, because it just can't die.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It can't die. You just gotta do what he told you to do. You know, and so it's just a part of what comes with doing what we do.
Yeah.
You know, and I tell people again, this is not to sound selfish, because some people would think that it is. But if you really knew me, you know I'm the furthest thing from being selfish, but I'm going to go after what I know I'm supposed to go after. Yes. And again, it's one of those things, I think what God wants to do and what he's going to do is just based upon the promise he gave.
Yeah.
That's just how I see it.
Yes, sir.
So even though you would want everybody to make it to the promised land with you, unfortunately, it may not be the case.
Mm-hmm.
But do you stop, or do you make it to where you're supposed to be?
Yeah. Woo. So I want to talk about the newest single, and I want to ask you a question about it. Let the people know what the song is called first.
The newest single we have out, the song is called All Away.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Incredible tune, man.
Yeah. So was the question I want to ask you is, was Javon a part of that song?
He was.
What was his role?
He sung, actually. He sung, man. He sung. It was crazy how it all went down. That song is actually written by another guy, a guy named Reverend Willie Johnson out of Texas. Mm-hmm. And we would go drive to go to our concerts or whatever. It was on SoundCloud, I believe it was. Mm-hmm. And we listened to it and fell in love with it. And so I called him and said, hey, man, I want to do this song. He said, man, have at it. Wow. And so we started singing it. And it would minister to us so much, because Keep My Mind was the thing that everybody wanted. But we started drilling this all away.
Yes,
it's
Lord.
all away, man. And so at this time, so I had the current group that I have, you know, which was just me consistently. It was me, Josh, Steve, JJ, and Jamari. Mm-hmm. Along with Big Josh, who plays guitar, and JB. Mm-hmm. And this season, those are the guys that were there.
Yes.
But without a doubt, every concert you would have me, Steve, Josh, Jamari, and JJ. So we had a 5-piece.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. You know, we had got it to a point where it was truly solid.
Yeah.
You can be effective.
Yeah.
And still sound good. And so we sung this at a convocation where Bishop was at. Yes. And he heard the song and went crazy. In fact, it's on our YouTube page. It's been, I don't know how many shares or how many views it got at this point, but it went crazy. And so he was like, man, we got to do this again, you know. And so so we ended up recording it.
Yeah.
We ended up recording it. And I recorded it with Steve, JJ, and Josh. They were doing the background initially. Mm-hmm. And so we did it, and I think I sent it to Bishop and let him hear it. I said, man, I want you to feature on it. He said, okay. He said, all right, well, we could do that. And I said, oh, yeah, I've been waiting for this one. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so he said, okay. So I let him hear it, and he fell in love with that sound, with what he heard.
Yeah.
But it really wasn't the MY1A sound initially, because, again, the group had transitioned.
Yeah.
Reggie pretty much laid the background for the group.
Yeah.
Most times, even if I gave him direction on how I wanted the song to go,
Yeah.
he Reginized it, whatever you want to call it.
I
You know
like
what
that
I'm saying?
Reginized it. Yeah.
And so that has always been that.
That's the
sound,
formula. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so we would do something. I'll give it to him. He'll lay it. They'll learn the way he laid it.
Yeah.
And that's it. And so we was like, man, it sounds good, but it's missing something. But what it wasn't missing anything, because it was heartfelt. It was what it was supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
And so, but we ended up sending it to Reggie, and Brandon got on it. And I think Shad even got on it at one point. And I relayed the background, and it sounded great. I'm like, oh man, that's the one accord I know.
Yeah.
Oh boy, it sounds good. But honestly, when I let Bishop hear it again, he was like, nah. Wow. This ain't what I heard. Yeah. Where that other background at? Yeah. And so I'm like, man, okay. So he ended up flying. Bishop flew in. I picked him up from the airport. He came back in the studio, and I called JJ and called the other guys to get back here. This is what we got to do. So they had to come back and re-record. But Reggie was a part of that too.
Yeah.
Because he did sing on him and Josh and JJ. They ended up doing
So it ended up being the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was something that JJ brought to it that wasn't in the other piece, man, that really...
I'm glad it ended up that way.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. I'm just so sorry, man, he didn't get to hear the finishing work. That really bugs me, man. But yeah, he was a part of it.
Yeah. That, as a leader, one, of a group, and as a pastor, two, how do you manage the feelings and emotions and thoughts of seeing people up and down, going through this, going through that? How do you manage your own sanity while still being there for them?
Man, it's gonna sound super spiritual, but it's my reality. It's God, man.
Yeah.
I mean, He's who I lean on. He's who I depend on. One of my members told me just a few weeks ago, they said, Pastor, after this, because we're in our church anniversary right now, they said, Pastor, after this, you need to go somewhere, man, just take a break.
Yeah.
Because you've been catching a lot of hits. Like, I had even last year 4 close deaths, and I preached all of them. And they were like back to back every week. Yeah. And so
like 4 weeks in a row.
In a row.
Like a month straight.
Month straight. And I mean close deaths, man. And God will give us a grace and a strength that we can't have in our own self.
Yes, sir.
And that's why I say it's all Him. I mean, I'm still standing, still surviving, still sane because of Him.
Yes, sir.
I couldn't do this on my own strength, man. And not to really have a break. It started last April, around this time, which is really a sensitive time for my family, my immediate family, my wife and children. And it went from this moment, this particular time, to, matter of fact, this is the actual day. Wow. Today is a day that, I lost my mother-in-law. And that started this series of, the oncoming deaths, man. It was just like the next 3 in a row, man. And so having to preach and eulogize all of those, never really having a chance to grieve and just deal with it yourself. You're still pastoring. Matter of fact, she transitioned that Saturday. Resurrection was that Sunday, and I still had to go preach. And been going ever since.
How, take us through the mind, just in case there are young pastors watching. How? Okay, this happens, you get up on Sunday. What is your prayer? What is your process to go up there and do that?
Lord, I'm totally leaning on you. Yeah. You have to be my rock.
Yes, sir.
Because, I felt the pain of my wife, you know what I mean, losing her mom, and it was sudden. She wasn't sick. It's just, bam, we're at church preparing that Saturday for Resurrection Sunday, and she's home preparing to come to church Sunday, excited. And then we get a call that, she's out, and they're taking her to the hospital, and that Sunday, she's gone. And so I'm feeling the weight of my wife, feeling the weight of my children, my own weight from my own relationship with her, and I probably really should have sat down and just took some time, but God gave me what I needed, man, to get through. Yes. Then the next week, I lose my uncle, who's really responsible too for me singing. That's the uncle that started our group.
Yo,
which is one of my dad's closest brothers.
Yeah.
Right? And so, he transitioned, and I had to do his funeral. Then the uncle that came in, one of my, their brother, he came in to be with the family that week and weekend, because the funeral was on a Sunday. So I had to do my uncle's funeral that Sunday. I preached that morning service, did the funeral that Sunday, then came to Carolina to sing. Wow. It was crazy. Still to this day, don't know how it happened, but it happened. The uncle that came to that funeral from out of town, he come and he stay up until like Monday or Tuesday. He leave, go back home. That Friday, he passed. Nothing was wrong with him. Yeah, so another week later, he come down, I do his. And, you just have kept going, man. And so it has been something. To get back to your question, man, it's been all God. I couldn't do any of this without him, man. He have just given me, I guess, a grace to do it.
Yes.
I take no credit. It's nothing with me knowing a whole lot of word, and it's just he's graced me to do it.
Yeah, and you said something too that I'm really picking up. Like when you mentioned that some people may think it's selfish, or they may feel a way about it. It's like when I hear you talk, I don't hear selfish. I hear strength.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That's because it's like that's a lot.
Yeah, man.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And to have the strength to persevere is amazing, bro.
Wow.
Like, it inspires me to get to a place where
wow,
it's okay to commit in spite of.
Wow.
Because
wow,
life can take you through so much where you feel justified in your quitting, bro.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Like, to lose people like that, or to go through stuff like that, to the world, if you quit, it's reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, no, I know what God said, man.
Yeah, man.
I know what my call is, and I know what he promised. So I'm not trying to be funny. It's just not about me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's not about me. I've been called to do a thing that I have to do in spite of.
Wow. Thank you.
Dawg, that's heavy.
Thank you, man.
That is really, really heavy.
For bringing that point to light.
Yeah.
Because that's the way I see it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not about me in no form. Or it's truly just trying to stay obedient, man, and finish the work that he assigned me to do. And, you know, like you said, you lose people along the way that are so dear and so important.
Yeah.
And people don't know, you know, I could be riding down the highway, riding back home, and just having my one-on-one. But it's like you got to stand and be strong when you get around those that's really drawing strength from you, man. I broke down this past Saturday. The single that came out, you know, and I couldn't stop crying, man.
Yeah.
It was uncontrollable. And maybe it was the cry I needed.
Yeah.
because I haven't been in a while. And it's like, man, sometimes God just got to flush you out.
Yeah, and then especially when you think about the song and you think about the lyrics to the song,
Right.
because these are burdens.
Heavy ones. Heavy ones. But to be able to say he took them away and you can look at them and say, bye-bye burdens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't stay here no more.
Yeah.
You got to go. It's something, man. It is truly something, man. But I am who I am, and I'm here where I'm sitting with you, man. Just still leaning on God, Doc. That's it for the rest of my days. I got to lean on Him, man.
Yes, sir.
My hand is gonna always be in His hand. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Right now, today, after you've preached and all of this, how do you feel like right now with everything that is going on, the single out, you pastoring, family? How you feeling right now?
I need what that young lady told me in my church, just a break.
Yeah.
I really do. I really feel like I just need a week, some time to just woosah.
Yes, sir.
Because it has been nonstop, just going.
Yes, sir.
And it's extracurricular activities with my family that I haven't mentioned that I do. Coaching my son. Yeah. Being out there with him, man, and that's a commitment.
Let's talk about that for a minute. Because out of all of this stuff you're saying and all of this stuff you went through, you're still a husband. You're still a father.
Yes, sir.
How?
Man, that's my first ministry, as they would say, man. It is. If you can't take care of home, the Bible calls you, I think, an infidel. You know, if you can't take care of your children, you don't take care of your family, man. And taking care of them don't mean being perfect, or you'll have it all right, but it means staying true, faithful, and committed to your assignment. And I'm my job is to make sure my family is taken care of. You know, Jesus calls the church his bride, and he gives a responsibility to the husband to love his wife as he loves the church. Yeah. And what did he do for the church? He died for it. Gave up everything. So when you look at it from that perspective, man, my job is to make sure my family is good, you know. And when they're good, things that I want to do is better. You know, I don't have the issue of some preachers and pastors I know that the church, and I'm not throwing a shot at anybody, have become like their second wife. Yes. And they find more joy into that. They don't even want to go home because there's probably oftentimes no peace at home. Yeah. So they're excited just to be out and be going. But my family really loves me. Woo. And I know they love me. So when I'm out entertaining people and being around people, I don't know what angle they coming from all the time. But I know when I go back home, they for real. Yes, sir. You feel what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so it hasn't always been this way as far as me understanding that and valuing that and paying attention to that until like recent times.
So, because I know I got married, I think when I was maybe like 18 or 19, like really close to my friends, being on the road. Mm-hmm. So from my experience, when you are trying to transition from that life to being married, it can bleed over.
Absolutely.
And it can get, so when I first got married, I'm a husband, but I still have that other mind because I've had more years of that
than you have been a husband. Right. Absolutely.
So things that I should have prioritized, I didn't.
Right.
Things that I should have paid attention to, I didn't.
Right.
Things that I should have been aware of, I was not.
Right.
Like, and it was bad. Mm-hmm. And then over time, like, okay, this is more important than that. Mm-hmm. And them your homies, but that's not really important.
Right.
Yeah, he cool, but it doesn't serve
right.
this side of you well. You probably should. So I know it's similar in that way for you. Mm-hmm. How did you get to the place where you started to understand, realize, and like prioritize home?
Again, seeing them the way, God see them. It's my job. You know what I'm saying? To be there. And then not just to be physically there, but be present.
That is important.
In their lives and in their decision making and in their upbringing, not just around to pay a bill or to buy some shoes, but to actually, like, I'm here. Daddy.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Your husband. And I don't want it to be said that everything else was more important to me than them.
Yeah.
And I know I've made my family sometime, and I'm particularly maybe talking about my wife maybe feel like, well, man, I'm more into this than sometime I'm into my home. And she understands clearly now that that wasn't the case. Life sometimes just have you doing what you got to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But they're, and I do what I do because of them, to be honest.
Yes.
I'm not as fortunate as some to do other things. Ministry has totally become my life.
Yes.
Part of it because of my past, what I've done.
Yeah.
What I was involved in, but God have always met and supplied. And so it caused me sometime to have to go when I don't want to, but this is where the Lord have us. But it's going to always work for our good.
Yeah, man.
So having them to understand what I have to do and then making time to make sure home is good too, everybody kind of sees it now.
Yes.
Initially, it was kind of tough. Like, well, man, you always gone. You doing this. It's our birthday this day. And you mean you got to take a booking on this day and we got to do this and this. And, but if I don't, and not saying that the date won't come again, but if this is the way the Lord has positioned me to provide a part of the way, then, it's in my best interest, in our best interest, that I do what I need to do.
Yeah,
so we can be good. You know what I'm
that's
saying?
good.
And so when I come back or before I leave, we can do A, B, C, D. And so yeah, but I've, just in a place, man, where I definitely want to make sure home is always good because it makes being out even better.
It does, boy. It does.
Yeah.
Jeez, I'm just thinking about my life now and my life then.
Yeah.
Like walking through that door and things not okay.
Right. You went and had a great weekend, got what you need to get you come home, and then you like, wow, I should have stayed out there.
And then it transitions to, man, I gotta go out there.
Yeah, right.
Because you kind of don't want to leave.
Right, exactly.
So I gotta do what I gotta do.
I gotta do. That's right. But when there's an understanding, and when they can kind of see, even if they don't see the whole picture, when they can kind of see what's going on, and they trust the God in you and trust you to make the right moves, it's easier.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's easier, man.
Yes, sir.
And I think even with the ministry establishing, and they not just seeing you as husband, but pastor, not just seeing you as husband, but a man of God, not just seeing you as husband, but the shepherd who don't just governs our home, but governs another home. And they're right there with me working in ministry.
Man.
They have a different perspective.
Yes.
As it relates to all of it.
Yes.
Yes.
Before we go, man, I'm sure there's somebody watching and listening that has a lot on their plate or are in a position where they do have gifts and they do have a call and they're trying to figure it out. What is your advice to them on their journey?
Man, I would seek God's face like I've never sought after him before. I would carve out some intentional time with him and fasting and praying that he will reveal purpose for you in your life. That's the thing. I think a lot of us oftentimes operate outside of purpose, which makes life and decisions and things we do, who we marry, who we connect with, so much more challenging. But when you allow God's will for your life and you're actually able to walk in purpose, man, I'm not saying it's the best life that you can ever have. I'm not saying there won't be challenges.
Yes.
But you can get through them, man, with a smile.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that joy. We used to hear him say, I get joy, or I have joy that the world didn't give and the world can't take away.
Yeah, joy, unspeakable joy.
There you go, man. that comes really with just being in the will, man, yes, in the will. So my answer, I would seek God wholeheartedly, man, like I've never sought after him before, and really ask him, what am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
Lead me, Lord, guide me. You know what I'm saying? Not saying it's gonna be easy, but we can make it.
Yeah.
And he'll help you prioritize. He'll open doors and he'll make things work out the way they're supposed to work.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but stay in his will, whatever you do. Yeah.
Hey, man, I want to thank y'all for watching. I want to thank y'all for listening. This has been another episode of the RXS podcast with Pastor Maurice Yancey.
Bless you, man.
Before we go, I want to make sure they know the newest single is called All the Way.
All the Way.
Y'all go check that out on all streaming platforms.
Yes,
right?
sir.
And y'all go follow him too and follow the group so y'all can go see them if they in the area. Also, if you close by where his church is, we'll put that information in there too.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here,
really
man.
appreciate this moment. It was a joy to hang out with you, man.
Yeah, man.
Been a long time, but I'm glad we're back again.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. See y'all.
Peace.
We fell all the way. Oh, all the way. Oh, la, 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 la. He took my burdens. 1 minute they're there, the next day they're gone. All the way, all the way. He took my burden.